Hi there. I'm going live a little early today instead of at 8:30 tonight. My husband's joining us tonight. We're having family dinner, and I think since he's been gone all week, we wanna be able to spend time with the grandkids together and with Mike and Hannah, so I thought it'd be better if I did it everybody's outside playing right now. My son and the kids, my daughter-in-law's working, and I've got everything kinda ready for dinner. So I thought, "Good. I'll take this few minutes to come and talk with you and get our reading in for today. And we're reading chapter 16 of Exodus, and I'm thinking we'll see how fast it goes of maybe doing 17 also, because this is the reading for the 17th, and it'd be nice to get the chapters caught up with the day of the month. It just makes it easier for me to keep track of where we are if the day and the chapter line up. So, I'll see if I'll see how long 16 goes, how long that reads. So, as usual, we will begin. We trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not on our own understanding. In all our ways we acknowledge him, and he will make our paths straight. All right. This is this is all interesting chapters in here. I enjoy seeing how God works and what people do and how we're still the same. So the whole Israelite community set out from Elam and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elam and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. You know what? Let me backtrack a second. Remember how God said, "This is going to be the start of your calendar now. This is the start of your year." They had that festival last month, and that's when they had Passover. Have you thought about why he did that? Why did he change their calendar at that time? He wanted to get them away from the Egyptian calendar. He wanted 'em to be walking through his times, his ways, and setting up his calendar was a way of separating them from their old life, as well as saying, "You've got a new life now. Today's, day 1. From here on forward, we're together." I thought that was kinda neat when you think about it. So they're now in their 2nd month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you've brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Then you notice how they always grumble? They just complain. And it makes me think, how often do I complain when things aren't going the way I think they should go? And it's like, I really wanna be more mindful of what I say and be more and I don't think they had to complain to God, instead of just turning to God and saying, "We need some food, help us with the food," so that he could answer their prayer. "We're trusting you, Lord, to provide us with food." Instead, they complained about it. And I think that's the way God looks at us now. It's like we don't have to whine and complain about things. He's very eager to help us. All we have to do is just ask and trust and know that he wants to provide that, but he wants it to be a relationship. We need to just ask, not whine and complain. So there's other words for complaining. We don't need to do that. So then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Moses also said, "You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there, was a cloud, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. And when the dew was gone, thin flakes, like frost on the ground, appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, What is it? For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, It is the bread of the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Oh, and so that's why it's called manna. Manna actually means, What is it? So the bread was called, What is it? It's called manna. So Moses is telling them, This is what the Lord has commanded. Each one is to gather as much as he needs. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. An omer must be a measurement. Let me see if it tells me what it is here. It says about 2 quarts. That seems like a lot. 2 quarts per person. 2 of those per person. So, yeah, I wonder how long that would take if you're gathering frost. The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little, and when they measured it by the omer, he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. So whatever you gathered, it ended up being the amount that you needed. Then Moses said to them, No one is to keep any of it until morning, so you eat it today and you're done. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Yeah, they thought they could do what they wanted. They just didn't trust. They just didn't trust. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as he needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person. And the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses. I thought they said 2 omers anyhow. Let me see what it says back here. Oh, 1 omer per person. Okay. I was thinking it said 2. So that makes sense. Oh, that's right. He was talking about on the Sabbath, take 2 omers. Okay. Now I lost my place. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Okay. Each morning, everyone gathered what they needed, as much as he needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers, that's where I left off, for each person. And the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until morning. So here, it normally would rot every single night except on the Sabbath night. So they saved it until morning as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. Isn't that interesting? So that shows you God's hand was in it. Eat it today, Moses said, because today is a Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any. So it was gathered the day before, prepared the day before, and just saved for the next day. Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where he is on the 7th day. No one is to go out. So the people rested on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. It sounds tasty. Moses said, This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the desert. when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for the generations to come." Oh, wouldn't that be interesting to see? So Moses said to Aaron, "I'll do that." Okay. And then as the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna in front of the testimony that it might be kept. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. An omer is 1/10 of an ephah. Let's see. That's 36. If it doesn't give me any more explanation about that. But isn't that interesting to think they ate the same thing every day for 40 years? Boy, I don't know about you, but I get bored eating the same thing 2 days in a row. But the Lord preserved them, and even though it was just this bread, their health was maintained. They didn't worry about having fruits and vegetables. They didn't worry about having fish. They didn't worry about having olive oil. They didn't worry about having coconut oil. They didn't worry about having how much kale they had and all this stuff. They just ate manna every day for 40 years. Wow. And their health was maintained. You know what? Their clothing was maintained. Their sandals were maintained. It didn't wear out. Isn't that hard to imagine that for 40 years it was maintained? God maintained it. I think that's pretty amazing. They keep going. Let's keep going. Chapter 17. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses, said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Oh my goodness. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." They were ready to kill Moses for doing this to them. Well, they were blaming Moses. The Lord answered Moses, "Walk on ahead of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" Let me see if it. Massah means testing, and Meribah means quarreling. I guess you wouldn't want to name your kids that, would you? The Amalekites came and attacked, and the Israelites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, indicating he was in prayer, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "For the hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation." Well, that wasn't very long, was it? I love that title, "The Lord is my banner." It's back then they used the term banner. We might use the term flag, okay? And it was also called it'd be like a standard, a sign, a plaque, something they would hold up instead of flag, a cloth flag. Instead of a cloth flag, it would have been a wooden thing that they held up. They called it a banner, and it was something that the people could see from a distance. And it was typically used in battle, and it became like they would go set it at a place where everyone had to gather because it'd be a place that they could see it and they could all go towards it and meet at the banner. Okay. It was also held up in victory. If your enemies got a hold of your banner, that was not a good thing. Just like nowadays, if somebody captures the capital of a country, they'll take their flag down and put their own flag up, indicating they've been overtaken. So the Lord is my banner. He is our victory. He is our gathering place. He is where we look to go to. He is our protection. You know, he saw over them in their battle there. And I know I've told you the story of the time I was traveling, and I'll tell you again in case you haven't heard it. But um, I was traveling down here to Virginia, and I needed a break. And my son had said that that we were on the phone, and he said, "Well, there's bad traffic up ahead. Why don't you pull off and just take a break for a while? Then you can get back in when it's broken up a bit." They tend to have a lot of backups down here, so I'd gotten off in some little town someplace, and well, big enough, you know, it has Walmart and plazas and stuff like that, but it wasn't a city. And I pulled into this plaza, and somebody's calling. Hang on. So I pulled into the plaza and I just kind of parked and I looked around and saw way down in the corner there was a Chinese restaurant, and I like steamed vegetables and rice. I usually can get that at just about any Chinese restaurant. Um, and I thought, oh, good, I could use a walk. So I started walking down that way to get there. And as I got closer to the little restaurant, and you know what I mean in these little plazas, they're just a little Chinese takeout place. Um, there was a man standing outside, kind of leaning against the pole. I don't know if he was on his phone or what, but I just walked past him and went in. In the place, there was I think like two ladies sitting at one table, and that was it. And there was a little kid, literally a little kid, at the cash register, like 4 or 5 years old. He wasn't very old, 6 at the most. And when I came in, he got down and scampered off to the back, and he never came back. So I stood there waiting for someone to come in. No one came in. And then I saw they had their takeout menus there. So I grabbed the takeout menu and I'm looking. They didn't have any steamed vegetables, which is unusual. And while I'm standing there looking at the menu, all of a sudden became aware of people coming in behind me. And it was a group of men. It was either 4 or 5 of them. And, you know, these places aren't very big. And this little area right in front of the cash register was very small. And they were right behind me. And you know, you get that icky feeling of your hair standing up on the back of your neck telling you something's not right. Something was telling me something wasn't right here, and I needed to get out of there. I knew I needed to get out of there. So I remember I just spun around on my heel and just pushed my way right through the men and got to the door. And as I'm pushing myself out the door, the man who had been standing outside was now standing right there at the door. He's like, "Hey, where are you going?" And I said, "There's nothing here that I want." I thought, boy, what a strange answer, because it's not the type of answer I would have normally given. But it just came out. There's nothing here that I want. And I said it very firmly. And I just kept right on going and then out the next set of doors. And as soon as I got outside, all those men came out behind me. They were following me. They came out right behind me, and you could hear them laughing. They were laughing quite loudly. And I'm just walking. I'm walking quickly. I didn't run. I was walking quickly to my car. And I immediately, what came to mind was, the Lord is my banner. I knew he was my protection. I was trusting him. I'm like, God, I'm trusting you. The Lord is my banner. And then in my mind's eye, I imagined an angel on either side of me. And what I saw were these tall, like 10, 12-foot tall angels, one on either side of me. And as soon as I saw that in my head, that laughing that was going on, ha, 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 it just stopped, just like that, just like somebody pulled the plug. I heard that laughing stop, and I thought, aha, the enemy who was working through those men also saw those angels. I have no doubt that they were there. And as soon as they saw that, they knew I was protected. So I got to my car, I left. You don't tempt fate. You don't tempt, I don't want to say fate, don't keep yourself in a situation. But God gave me that way out, and I was very thankful for that. But whenever I think of the Lord as my banner, I always think of that incident that happened, and how the Lord preserved me in that situation. And I'm so thankful that He brought that title to mind, that I could be confident in Him for that. I had been studying the names of God at the time, and that was one of the ones in the book, and that one just always really resonated with me. And because there's also the scripture verse, His banner over me is love. I think that's from the Song of Songs, the Song of Solomon. His banner over me is love, and I like that one too. It's His victory. Our victory is His love over us. So that's a neat thing too. So now we are caught up with the days of the month and the chapters, and that means tomorrow on the 18th, when I read for the 18th, I will be reading chapter 18, and that will help my mind keep track of this better. So thank you all for listening in today. I know I said I was doing this at a different time, but I could see there's a number of people here anyway, and that's great. Thank you so much for coming. I keep getting fuzzies in my eye. I'm sorry. I look goofy, I know. Let's close with a proclamation. Let's see what we got here. Let all those rejoice who put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy because you protect and defend them. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With shield you will surround him, with favor you will surround him as with a shield. I'm sorry, it was a little choppy, but that really fits into the story I just told you. Let me read it again. Let all those rejoice who put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy because you protect and defend them. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor you will surround him as with a shield. That's nice. Oh, this is the section on guidance, protection, and preservation. The Lord will deliver me from every evil work and preserve me for his heavenly kingdom. To him be glory forever and ever. Amen and amen. And so you folks have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming by.